We're going to make this interactive. I've been talking to myself all day.
Well, I've been trying to get my clients out there as contacts and start with, setting them up as contacts and then opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Although sometimes I'm a little late on getting some things done. So I had a closing last month. I just uploaded the documents into Command in the document section. Most of them were created outside of.
Let's talk more about the process of contract to close. How do you manage inspections, appraisals, right? All the checklist items of things that need to be addressed throughout the transaction.
I have a checklist.
Okay. Paper, Excel.
I put them on my calendar when it's ratified.
Okay.
And then I know, like today, the home inspection addendum was due back from the buyer's agent. So I know that today's our deadline.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else want to weigh in there?
Yeah, I just have a list of things that I know need to happen. And when the contract is ratified, I just put the dates down that they need to happen. And I keep a folder on each client. Okay. Paper folder. Yay.
So I think if you're either on a team, right, this is probably going to look a little bit different than that because there's a lot of things moving and shaking with a lot of different team members that's happening with. And as your business grows, right, you're gonna all of a sudden have gaps that are appearing because, let's face it, running it on paper, may not be the most efficient system. It might work for your volume right now, but maybe moving forward, it's not. So what we're going to talk about today in this class is we're going to talk about the opportunities section. We're not going to be doing compliance, right? So that's not the direction of Command today. We're talking about contract to close and how to manage, right? How to manage your contract to close business. Does that make sense? So we'll touch on, there's a couple things that overlap with compliance, but this isn't compliance class. There is one on next week for that. And basically, again, if you guys can't log into Command, just watch my screen here and then you can go back and play with this. So opportunities has two main purposes. One is compliance and getting paid, right? And that aspect of it, kind of taking the place of dot loop for a lot of us. The other is managing your transactions throughout the process. Okay, so does that make sense to everybody? We have two separate sides of opportunities, really, and today we're going to talk about the transaction management side. When I come to opportunities, there's a few things here I want to talk about before we jump in. Everyone has three pipelines, right? You have listings, you have buyers, and you have leases. The leases pipeline combines both landlords and tenants. Okay, so it combines both landlords and tenants. And then below that, we've actually got some different charts and things like that start to track our opportunities as we move forward. Up top here, I've got a button that says my name, so it says Kyle Holleran. And there's also another section here that says all opportunities. Now, the reason this is important is because after someone goes throughout the transaction, let's say I move an opportunity through and I close that transaction, they disappear out of this pipeline, right? Because they're no longer part of that contract to close process. Once they disappear, they're not gone. They're just out of the pipeline, and you will be able to find them up here in all opportunities. So you'll always be able to go back and search and find all the opportunities you've ever created there in that section there. If you're on a team, there's a caveat here. If you're on a team, you're probably going to see the team name as the first block and then the Rainmaker's name if you're in that account. And so that way the team can see a pipeline that's going to bring all of their team members and create one pipeline. And then I'm able to drop down and look at individual agents on my team's pipeline. Any questions on that? Now I'm going to show you something new today that's being released at MegaCamp that hopefully gets you guys a little bit excited about maybe following through on this class today, which is going to be the ability actually to send an email to your clients that let them know what you accomplished today in the transaction. Or you can set up an auto email that says, today, I scheduled the appraisal, I scheduled the home inspection, I did this, and the system will actually communicate that with your client rather than you, writing out a single email to your client about that. So it's pretty cool. All right. So something new today that I think no one has seen. So it'll be a little bit something new today. All right. So the first step here, guys, is that we have the ability. Let me go back. I'm going to just try to check real quick, see if I get back into my normal command. Try to sign in here. Okay, yeah, this is where I want to be. So I'm back in normal command. It looks like command's back up, so you can kind of You can kind of follow along with me here. So here is what your opportunity section might look like, okay? So on command, I can see my pipeline here, my listing pipeline. And as an example, I have 4 cultivations opportunities. I've got 1 opportunity that is in the appointment phase. I've got 2 in active, 1 in under contract, and 0 in closed. On the far right over here, I've got potential income. So it's going to take all of these opportunities that I've created, and it's going to say, okay, potential income, if I closed all of them, would be I'm going to make $45,250, right? Now, if I've got people that are either under contract, even in a listing, like I have the listing, or I'm actually under contract working to close, it's going to tell me, hey, you're probably going to make about 20 grand out of that 45 based on where people are in the pipeline right now. Does that make sense? So that's the difference between potential and probable income. So I've got, again, those 3 pipelines. And then down here in my system, you can see some of these reports that I get. It's showing me, hey, 75% of my business right now is listings, 25 is buyers. And then it also shows you your opportunities over here, right? It kind of shows you your seasonality on how many opportunities are you creating each and individual month. So when you guys go to a class and they say, what's your list to sales price ratio, or your list to buy side ratio? If you use opportunities, it'll actually spit it out and give it to you and tell you exactly what your ratios are. All right? Any questions about this screen here before we start digging into the opportunities themselves? Any questions about the home screen of opportunities?
You may be addressing this, Kyle, but do you just have to say you lost the opportunity to get it to go away because it's clogging up my view? You know, when, like, say 2 people on the team both entered it in,
yep.
And so then you have a duplicate. So, or, you know, at the beginning, let's say I didn't realize that that wasn't their name, it was their middle name. So somehow I started over as opposed to just changing the one I had going.
Yep.
And now I have all these like just dead things that are cluttering up my little pipelines.
All right, so for clarity here, what it sounds like from Stacy is she's got all these numbers, right? 4, maybe it would be like 7, 4, and some of them need to be deleted out, right? Because they're not correct, or they were test ones that you created when we were doing training, all right? So let's go through the process of just creating an opportunity really quickly. Actually, does everyone on this call know how to create an opportunity? For compliance or otherwise, right?
Yes.
Everyone knows how to create an opportunity.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You literally just click this button and follow those couple steps there. Now, once I create an opportunity, it becomes a number, right? And to see that opportunity, I can either click on all opportunities up here and select it out of this list, okay? And so I can filter by this or whatever it's going to be. So this is like a list view in all opportunities. I can also click into the phase where that opportunity lives. So in this case, I'm going to click on cultivate, and I will see that I've got 4 opportunities here, right? Daffy, Minnie, Elise, and Bob. Okay. Now, Stacy asked the question, how do I delete one of these? And the way you delete it is in this view. So this tile view, click the 3 dots right here, and you'll see it says archive opportunity. All right. And that's how I delete an opportunity. Now, the caveat to that is it needs to be in either cultivate, appointment, or active for me to do that. Okay. If it's, or it actually might be the first 2. I believe if it's under contract, right? Like in this case, if I click on under contract here and I click on Alex, I don't have archive, right? So it needs to be in one of the first positions in order for me to archive it. All right. So first 3 positions, including active, I can delete it. If it's in under contract, I would have to pull it backwards in order to delete it, Stacy.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome. Okay, now the idea, guys, behind opportunities here is when I create an opportunity, it's going to start on the far left side of my opportunity board, which in this case, mine says 2021 listing. Now, cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed cannot change. Those are called phases. Okay, so you cannot change that. What you do have the ability to do is, I'm in cultivate right now. I know that because this blue line, it's highlighted here. I can change the amount of boards. So in this case, I have 3 boards here. I can change the amount of boards that I have underneath of cultivate. I can change the name of the board underneath of cultivate to fit your business. All right. So I have gone in And I have created these 3 boards, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. 2021 listing, 3 to 6 months, 0 to 3 months. The idea behind this would be Daffy Duck calls me and says, hey, I'm thinking about selling next year. I create an opportunity and he lives here. Now he calls me and says, you know what, Kyle, we got to sell before the end of the year for tax reasons. So I can literally click his opportunity here, drag and drop it into the next board to the right. All right, so everyone sees how I did that there. Drag and drop, release, and now he's in the 3 to 6 months category. And I can follow that all the way through the process, right? And then let's say I set an appointment with Daffy Duck. I can then grab this tile and drag it into the appointment slot. Right? Now it disappears from Cultivate. And if I click on appointment, there it is, right? So there's Daffy Duck, who is now in the appointment section of my pipeline. Any questions about finding the tile and moving it through the pipeline? Okay. Now the other part of this, other than moving the tile, is you will notice I can create a checklist of items that need to be completed when it's in this board. So in this case, I've got 2021 listing, and I've said for Minnie Mouse, I need to make sure I send 2019 stats. I make sure I have her phone number, I get her email address, I get her current address, and I update my database. So I'm creating these checklists of things that need to happen. And as I go through them, I can check them off as being done. I can hit close, and now 3 of the 5 things are done on this part of it. If you're on a team, okay, I've got the ability here to assign this to somebody. So if I want this to become a task, meaning maybe tomorrow I'm going to get the phone number, I can go here and say set a due date, and I need to do that tomorrow at, let's say it's going to be right 9:15 or 10:15 a.m. Okay, it's now got a time block here, and now that becomes an opportunity task that I'll be alerted of tomorrow when I log into Command. And again, if you're on a team, you'll see an extra button here that'll say assign, and I can assign it to, you know, Jimmy on my team. And then Jimmy will have a notification tomorrow that he's got something to do. Any questions on these checklists here? I'm going to show you how to create them, but does everyone understand that as I move this card, you're going to have a different checklist per section, if that's the way you choose to do it. So as I go up front here and I say appointment, Daffy Duck, I need to send a pre-listing packet. Did I send the welcome email? Have I pulled current comps? Did I send flowers? Do I need to send a COVID addendum? Right? And these are all just like made up checklists here for training purposes. Maybe I need to pull current comps, and I'm going to say, hey, I want to do that on Monday because I'm going to get ready for my appointment, which is on the 8th, right? So I could set that time slot up, and now I'll be reminded to pull comps on Monday the 7th. Questions so far? All right, in addition, I've got the checklist of 5 things here, right, which everyone is going to get. So everyone that comes into this scheduled appointment section is going to get these 5 things. I also have the ability to come in here and add items to Daffy Duck based on individual circumstances having to do with that deal. So let's say Daffy Duck lives on a septic system, right, and we want to get that inspected, or maybe we want to get a pre-appraisal done on his property because it's unique. I can click on 4 of 5, come down here and add items. So I can say schedule appraisal, right? And I can add that item, and it goes from the 5 to the 6, right? Now he's got an additional checklist item that needs to be completed. And I can now see that, right, underneath his checklist. So you can add more checklist items than the generic ones, but the generic ones appear every time for you to use. And then obviously that moves forward here. So in this case, I've got pre-listing, right? And it happens at every single stage. So drop off lockbox, call sign company, schedule stager. This is the work that I'm going to ask you all to do if you haven't done so already, which is to create these checklists. Now I've got a couple things that I can show you, but some of you might already have a contract to close system. And what you need to figure out is in what part of this pipeline do I need to insert that part of the checklist of contract to close items that need to be completed. And here's what I want to show you. Let me go to my Gmail real quick. And I want to show you something, which is at Mega Camp. All right, give me a second here. Let's do All right, so at MegaCamp, they're going to be releasing this to everybody, which is there will be an email that can go out that basically, as I go throughout the list of things, you guys might have seen here. Let me go back to this real quick. So I've got Beth Celestini, I've got checklist items. You notice that a couple of them have, it says client update. You see that? So some of these things might be internal, like drop off lockbox, right? That might be something that that I might just have for my team, but maybe I want Beth to know that I scheduled the stager. So if I did, I can say, hey, send her an update on that. I also ordered the photos. We can send an update on that. And then we've also created our marketing materials. I want to send the client an update on that. So what you are going to be able to do at MegaCamp is say everything that you've checked off within a day, okay? That client will get an email from KW and it'll say client's name, right? So it would say, Juanita Leatherberry, we're checking things off the list. Here's a summary of tasks that were completed for, and it would say the opportunity name, right? 123 Main Street. And it would say, we got the phone number, we got email address, right? Check, 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 check. From Kyle Holleran, any questions, let me know. And it's going to automatically send this email on your behalf rather than you calling the client and telling them that you've done all these different things. Pretty cool. So in order to be able to take advantage of an email like this, a system like that, you must first have your checklist items in the system. Because if you don't have a checklist items, there's nothing to send as an update. So let's go there next. Every pipeline has different checklists, right? Obviously, the checklist for listings are going to be different than buyers. So you're going to start with, okay, let's say we're going to start with listings, and I want to go into the cultivate section, right? If I would like to create a checklist or create boards for cultivate, I'm going to go up top here where it says edit stages. Everybody see where it says edit stages? Now, edit stages, again, is only for cultivate. If I wanted to mess with active, I would need to be on active first and then click edit stages. So edit stages does not do all 5 of these at the same time. You got to make sure you're in the one you're trying to edit. So let's go ahead and say cultivate. I want to go to edit stages. When I click that, here's the name of the 3 boards underneath of cultivate, right? You just saw them. 2021 listing, 3 to 6 months, 0 to 3 months. To the right of that, you can see a checklist. And so this is the generic checklist. I can go in and say, okay, anytime someone hits 0 to 3 months, right, I want them to get a checklist item that needs to be send quarterly sales numbers. Right, now I can hit save. And save, and now it was 0 of 0. Now I've got one checklist item in that 0 to 3 stage. Is that clear to everybody? So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either go in and spend a little bit of time, right, and create these checklists working off of a current contract to close checklist you have, or you could also do it as you're moving somebody throughout a tile, right? What am I doing with this person in this stage? And I'm adding those different things that I'm working on right now, and you're kind of building your checklist as you go. This is homework though, right? They don't all magically appear, and every one of us is going to have a different contract to close system based on the way that we do business. Right, so once I do that, I can come back now, and if I move Minnie Mouse over into 0 to 3 months, now I've got one checklist item there, which is the one I just created. So send quarterly sales number. I could say send that in a client update, or set a due date, or check it off, right? And now it shows me that 1 of 1 items have been checked off and completed. All right, feedback so far. What are you guys thinking as you're looking at this?
Kyle, did you tell us one time that you had some generic checklists somewhere that are the things that have to happen with most contracts that we could start with?
Yeah, so if you're looking for, like, where do I start here, okay? Now that you guys have seen this a little bit, if you go to Facebook and you go over to my Facebook page, KW Aligns Technology Mastermind, which all of you are a part of, I believe. If you're not, go ahead and ask to be part of this. In my Facebook page here, there is a files section. If you click on files, If you scroll down, it's actually the first two files that are in here. One says customize your sales pipeline. They both do, but 1 and 2 basically. And if you go ahead and open this up, right? So if I go ahead and click on this PDF and it opens up this PDF, this is a starting point for you, Juanita, that I might print out and use to create the checklist in Command. So this was posted by an agent, but hopefully now that you've seen the checklist, this makes sense to you. So we've got cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and close. So we're going up and down here where we were going left to right in the pipeline tool. And we're going to say, okay, the first board name is watch lead. And then here are the 4 things that need to happen. Those are the 4 checklist items. Okay. So phase name, stage name, checklist items. There's one for buyers. And if you click on the other one for sellers. And that's your starting point if you need a starting point for your opportunities checklist. Questions on that? Right? So hopefully now that you're in Command for compliance, right? If you're using Command for compliance, hopefully this all has become a lot easier for you because now you're creating the opportunities, right? You're doing those things. Now it's time to start layering in, build another system off those opportunities, which will help you with your contract close system. Okay.
I do have one question. I work for Ray White, and many times I find out that we have a contract, you know, after it's signed and everything.
Sure.
Are we required to start at Cultivate even though we're already under contract?
No, it's a good question. The answer to that is no. When you go to create an opportunity, right? And so in that case, let's say, Catherine, right, it's going to be Richmond West, and I'm going to say, right, that's on the team. Down to the bottom here, you have the ability to say, okay, what phase is this opportunity going to start in? And the furthest I can go is active, okay? So you can put them into the 3rd part of the pipeline right off the bat, right? And any of the stages within that phase.
Okay.
So it might be like on market because they've already signed listing paperwork and you didn't know about it yet. And then when you create this, right, they will automatically start here in active rather than starting over here in cultivate.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Other questions on those checklist items? Any questions about that? Does everyone feel like they know where to go to create their checklists? Let's do it again. Let's go to the buy side this time. We've been listing. Let's go to the buyer side, and I want to get my skills down that as soon as we go under contract with the buyer side, right, I want to make sure everything's getting done properly. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to buyers. I can click on under contract here. Right, when I come into under contract, I've got 3 board names: under contract inspections, post inspections, and clear to close. All right, so let's say I want to add a board here. So let's go ahead and go through that example. Let's say I want to add a board here, and that board might be, you know, ratification items, like things that need to happen like right away. Okay, so again, I'm in under contract. I can come up here to edit stages. And now I can go up to the top here where it says add a stage. So there's your 3 right now that are currently there. Under contract inspections, post inspections, clear to close. I could say add a stage, and this stage is going to be just ratified. And I want to make it position 1 of 4. I can click save. Now I've got 4 boards. So if I go back to my board now, under contract, you see I now have just ratified, under contract, post inspections, and then clear to close. So hopefully that shows you guys, you can delete them all down to 1 board, right? If multiple boards under contract are confusing to you, you can delete 3 of them and just have 1 board that says under contract and then a long list of checklist items. But a lot of people like to kind of break it down. So it's, you know, a few checklist items per stage, make sure nothing is dropped. And then again, I would come back up here at stages. It says just ratified. Right now it's 0 of 0 checklist items. I would click on this. Okay. I could say add item, and I could say collect EMD. save. We need to make sure we turn in contract to lender, save. We need to turn in paperwork to office, save. Okay, I'm gonna hit save, and now just ratified, there are 3 items that need to be completed. So let's go all the way back. So I'm here, let's say I've got somebody in Cultivate, right? We are in active, whatever it's gonna be, and now we're under contract. So I'm moving Kathy Jenkins forward here into under contract. When she lands in under contract, Kathy now has 3 things under just ratified that need to be completed. Have I collected the EMD? Yes. Do I need to set a due date to turn it into the lender? I could do that. That needs to be done tomorrow. I'll click OK. I want the client to get an update that I've already done that. And then I've turned in my paperwork to the office. That one's checked off as well. Close. And now you know that everything is almost done for that deal based on where it is right now.
Kyle, these updates are going to automatically go out to the client, or is there somewhere that we compose that verbiage?
Yeah. So a couple things. Bernadette, you're actually going to click on that. There is a section in settings. So you guys don't have this yet. Okay. So just this is coming out of MegaCamp. There will be a place in settings where you will be able to customize your message to the client. Okay.
Okay.
Right now it is a template, and it just says this basically, right? We're checking things off the list for you with those checklist items. I do want to show you here, if I click on Kathy's card into the opportunity, you'll notice up here there's going to be a button that'll say client updates. And this is where, just like in the MLS, where I say, like, how often do I want to send Burnett an update on new listings, right? You'll be able to come in here and say, hey, either daily emails and let them know what's going on, or I can come in here and say, hey, you know what? Not daily emails, but I need to send one off today, right? And so let's go ahead and do, something needs to shut out at 1:50. And it's going to go to Kathy Jenkins, and I'm going to get a copy, save changes, then Kathy gets that email. So I will teach this all to you when it gets released. The important part to understand here, this email doesn't go out unless you have checklist items. So that is what I'd be working on between now and MegaCamp.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good question. All right, any other questions on this piece of it here? Any other questions on opportunities? So that's what I wanted to take you guys through today, was to make sure that you understood how to do those checklist items and where to get from here to there. If you're good with that, want to jump off, go ahead. If you have other questions about opportunities, we can kind of keep working through some things, but that is
Kyle,
the contract.
I
Yeah.
have a question. Because we have a referral that just came up today. Do referrals go in opportunities?
You could. I guess my question would be, and this is kind of done differently by office, okay?
Okay.
Some offices say if we're receiving the referral, right, just send us an email with the referral agreement and the W-9 for the other agent so that we know that it's coming in. And you very well could. You could go in here and create an opportunity and call it referral so that they could grab a commissions. Because my question to you would be, do you typically fill out a green sheet for a referral payment?
No, I don't.
All right, so then I would say you follow the same process that we did when we had Dot Loop, which is how do you alert the office that there is a referral payment coming to you?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Come on, guys, you can't let me off this easy. What have you been sitting at home trying to figure out? All right, let me show you a couple other things here. Just, you guys might already have these down, but let me just show you. When I come into the opportunity, all right, so if I click on the Minnie Mouse here and I come into the opportunity, right, these are all the things that are created when I first create the opportunity. Make sure you remember there's little pencils here so I can edit everything. Okay. And we've talked a lot about you have to create the offers to create the commissions. Keep in mind, there is a notes section here on opportunities, right? So if this was a deal I'm working with, I could say bad appraisal, right? And maybe leave some notes about like, blah, 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 this is a bad appraisal. We didn't like the appraisal. We've ordered a, blah, 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 second appraisal. Hit save note, right? That's going to save it and timestamp that note underneath of the opportunity, not the contact record. Right? I don't want to save that. I don't want to save this. If this is an important note about the transaction, I don't want to save that under Minnie Mouse because hopefully we're going to have a long-standing relationship, right? I would want to be able to go back to this opportunity and then see the note about the appraisal or whatever it was going to be. So keep that in mind, right? There's a note section there. And then for teams, there's a timeline for both teams and individuals where you can see like who did what. And you can see exactly who messed with the opportunity or touched something. So if you got to go back and look at your history, just remember that's a tab there as well. Okay, anything else?
So I apologize. I was a little late.
Sure.
So is it too much trouble to ask to just go through creating an opportunity? Because I've tried it before and I just didn't understand exactly what was going on.
Yeah, let's just create it. Super easy.
Yes.
Once you create it once, right, you should be off to the races. So most simplistic form, the first step of creating an opportunity is, right, the contact must be in command.
Right.
I'm going to go to create opportunity. It's going to default to your home market center. So Burnett, in your case, it's going to say Richmond West already. The second choice here, opportunity type, is important. It's determining which one of these pipelines the opportunity is going into. So I'm going to say this is a listing, a buyer, or a landlord. I'll say listing. I'm going to start typing my client's name because, again, they're already in there, right? So I should be able to start finding that person. Let's go back to Cameron. So let's say Cameron is the client on my listing. It's going to name it automatically. And the only thing that's required here is I've got to select my commission, right? So what's my commission rate going to be, hopefully? And I'll say 3%. And then from there, I can then create that opportunity. And that's it. Okay. Which brings us to this screen here, right? Documents is how you turn things in compliance. And then offers and commissions is the new green sheet section, right? So this is one view of it. And then if I go back to my sales pipeline and I go to cultivate now, I should see Cameron Bernard, right? Listing. And there he is. And now I can start moving his deal through that pipeline and taking advantage of those checklist items so that nothing falls through the cracks as I move him throughout that life cycle of the transaction.
Cool. Thank you. Yep.
Anything else? Easy one today. All right, guys, just make sure you guys know what's coming up here the next couple weeks. So I'm going to go back to the home screen here. All right, so a few things here I just want to point out. Tomorrow at 12 o'clock, I'm doing the listing leads, right, and buyer leads from Facebook ads. So if you want to get into that Facebook ads or kind of revisit that again, that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. On the 8th, so next Tuesday, I'm doing an orientation. So we're going to start from scratch again and just got to start building up. So either if you or someone in your office, if you know that that's something they'd be interested in, that is September 8th. I've got a Q&A on Wednesday morning, so you can just jump on if you got any questions between now and Wednesday and either don't have any one-on-one time slots left or just a quick question, jump on that. I'm going to walk you through setting up your website and your mobile app Wednesday afternoon. We're going to go into compliance on Thursday. All right, so we're going to go back into opportunities and do more of the uploading documents to the opportunity section. And then September 14th is an important one. It's smart plans. The reason why I'm going to tell you that's an important one is because at MegaCamp, they're going to release to you all the smart plans library. And if you look really quickly at my screen, if you haven't used smart plans yet, I want you to jump into that class because we've only had about 10 or 11 smart plans from KWRI to use. And opening to all agents is going to be the ability for agents here. And you can see Marty Miller, right? Shannon. People are starting to create smart plans and they're going to be able to share them with the entire company. So you would be able to come in here and say, hey, I'm going to take Kyle's class on Friday and learn how to generate Facebook leads. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab Marty Miller's 66-day lead follow-up from Facebook Smart Plan. I'm going to add it to my smart plans and I'm going to hit go. Okay, so in order to take advantage of using these like enhanced smart plans when this is released to you at MegaCamp, I think it's a good idea to start learning just the basics of smart plans and know how they work. So this is some leverage that you can put into play as we move into this fall. So those are the classes that I have coming up, and it'll be the same link, you know, from here moving forward. All right, I'm going to stop the recording now, and I will upload this to YouTube, and I will share it on my Facebook page. So if anyone missed this or wants to go back and revisit something, or in Burnett, in your case, right, being a couple minutes late potentially, jump on there, right, and go back and watch that. And if you have any questions, you can let me know.